All right, everybody. Welcome to episode 18 of Beyond the Weight Room podcast. I am Brett Kelly. We've got Mr. Ryan Hurston here, and then my buddy Matt Voss. Matt, welcome, man. Thanks for coming.
No worries. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So I worked with Matt with the U.S. ski team. At the time, he was in charge of snowboarding. I was in charge of free ski, which if you don't know what free skiing is, it's basically people that do the same events as what most people know snowboarding to do. So half pipe, slope style jumps, big air, all that kind of stuff. And so we kind of traveled around the world together a little bit. And then when I left, you took over free ski. And is that pretty much how it stayed until you left, or?
Yeah. So once you left, I took over free ski and snowboarding and oversaw them both, all four of those programs, all the way through Beijing. And then after Beijing, I was able to get an assistant coach, which was super nice. So then moved up to a manager role, and then he took over snowboarding. Kind of like each year, he added a team, and then from there, like by the time I was leaving, he was fully running snowboarding on his own. So yeah, it was a cool little drip feed for him to get his feet wet with his first international coaching job. So sweet.
Nice, dude. That's awesome. And then now you're with the Bulls officially, man. Congrats.
3 months in. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
Wow, congrats. 3 months.
Thank you. Yeah.
So cool. How are things going there? You guys obviously getting everything ready for the season, and I'm sure it's just chaotic at this time of year, or is everybody not quite there yet?
No, we're full swing. We were really lucky that we had a lot of guys who were based out here in Chicago. So pretty much the month of August, we were rolling into like a training camp type scenario. We had the DNC, the Democratic National Convention here in Chicago. So we kind of got booted from our facility, and we ended up just going down to Miami for a week, which is hard life, right? So we were down there in Miami training and practicing. So a cool little mini camp before everything started. And yeah, we've just been rolling training camp. We're 4 games in, got a game tomorrow against the Magic. And yeah, we're in full swing.
Dude, I didn't even know that there were 4 games in. That's how shitty.
I was going to say, when Brett asked that question, that was just confirmation that he does not watch.
Yeah, I was like, hey.
This is a kid that's from St. Louis. We don't have basketball here. We have hockey, I guess. Hockey's,
hockey is also on right now.
I got that one. I know that one.
So, yeah, their game's in too.
Nice, dude. That's freaking awesome. And then I know Ryan, obviously you guys don't know each other. So I think one of the cool things working with Matt was his background with Oregon as well. I know you did a ton with Radcliffe out there as well. You want to talk about that experience at all? Kind of that's obviously what sets you up with the ski team. And then,
Yeah, for sure. Oregon was an amazing opportunity and experience. Spent an extra year there just trying to soak it all in and probably trying to finish a degree at the same time, which is kind of what ended up happening at the end there. But yeah, I was super fortunate for Coach Radcliffe to take a chance on me. I was just a young coach, have been coaching a little bit, but not at that level whatsoever. And he definitely took the time to take me underneath his wing and teach me a lot of what I know about, movement competencies and, that how well, how much, how fast method, which I still use to this day. So huge mentor. He's incredibly hard to get a hold of, even as a mentor. So it's like anytime I get to trap him in, a 2-mile radius, I have a pretty good chance of linking up with him, right? So, just being able to be around someone who's been in the strength game for 30 plus years, he's still going, right? Like he's forgotten more things than I'll probably ever know, and it was just cool to be able to just kind of see how a great mind like that works and taking aspects of it that fit my philosophy and that could help the athletes that I get to work with and, still moving forward as a young strength coach. So yeah, it was great. That whole staff there at the University of Oregon was phenomenal. We've all gone on to do a lot of really great things. So it was a cool cohort at the time.
Dude, yeah, I think one of the cool things just from your talking with you about that was like the fact that, like you said, he's been in the industry for 30 plus years. And I feel like a lot of older strength coaches are going to get stuck in their ways. But then you were like talking about how he literally was like doing crazy hikes in the woods with the football team before games, like jumping off of trees and just like outside the box thinking, which you don't necessarily always associate with like somebody that's been in the industry that long. So I think that's probably a testament to him as a coach and a person too. So that was pretty wild.
Yeah,
So
lots of fun stuff. Standing on top of squat racks to coach guys that were taller than him, and like just being a ninja generally
standing on
is
top of
how,
squat racks.
bro. Like this guy is like 5 foot, maybe five. Like he's a small cat. Like not that I'm much taller, but like just the most elusive ninja esque. Like we would have like 2 minutes before a big staff meeting, and there's like no humanly way possible that he would have been able to make it in. And like you just open as we're closing the door, he just like slides in and he's there. You're like you were all the way across campus at the track. How did you make it here to the basketball facility? It doesn't really make sense. So just a mysterious man. So
Mysterious man. That's awesome.
hmm
Yeah. So I think, one thing we kind of try to talk about on the podcast too is just like stuff that younger coaches could take from all this. So I think that's one reason we called it Beyond the Weight Room, but we typically end up falling back into what we like to talk about, which is strength and conditioning. But, obviously I know you, I worked with you. But what do you think are the things that got you from Oregon to the ski team to where you're at now? Like, what are some of the top things that you would tell like young coaches that got you there, whether that be like a mentality thing or specific like coaching techniques or whatever? What are some of your top things?
Yeah, I mean the number one thing that I suggest to younger coaches is just be comfortable being uncomfortable. I know that's said a lot by a lot of practitioners, but I mean, if you gotta work a UPS job just to kind of keep the wheels on the wagon, so to speak, as you pursue this dream, like sometimes that's just what it takes, and you got to kind of put yourself in positions to be successful, right? Like you never know who's moving where or who's watching you as when you're a coach. Like I remember working with some of the Orlando City soccer athletes before they made MLS, and it's like one of those coaches, one of the technical coaches from that team, was the one who helped me get my first like paid job, right? Because he saw how I was interacting with the players and all that kind of stuff. So it's like even when you don't think you're being watched, or you think like, oh, as long as the head strength coach sees what I'm doing, then I'm good. Like some of those other technical coaches, they can help you too. So like not being just like a one dimensional type of practitioner or person can really help you make those meaningful connections, which is kind of like my second big piece is it's not who you know, it's who knows you, right? So those networking abilities and opportunities are super important, and just being able to honestly as a human treat everybody with respect and like give everybody love, and that really goes a lot further than people think. I think sometimes it feels very cutthroat in this industry and you got to step over bodies to get to that next level. But when you come with the right mentality and you come with the right, I guess you could say, heart, like to really just do good by those athletes and do good by that program, I really do see that helping people get further ahead than the ones that just like are always kind of conniving and looking for the shortcut or the little side door or whatever like that. So yeah, kind of a combination of things, but yeah, being a good human kind of
Yeah, man.
works
I mean,
generally. Yeah.
that's if somebody asked me that about you too, I'd say the same thing. I think that was one of the reasons I'm sure you wanted to go back to the ski team as well. With me, it was like everybody kind of had that mentality of, and maybe that's just because the sports we worked with have kind of a little different mentality with just
hmm
the ski community versus college football or something like that. But yeah, I think just we've talked about that on this before too, Ryan. But just caring about your athletes and actually like being open with them and with even with your coworkers and stuff too, and building that communication is just one of the biggest pieces and sometimes the hardest thing to get young coaches to do and figure out how to do. And it's hard to teach too, which is difficult. So
Yeah,
but
I don't even know if you can always teach it, right? Like some of it is ingrained in who we are as people. I think the majority of coaches that stay with it act out of service, and the service is, we are the supporting cast.
hmm
We are not the front lines. We are not the managers. We're not the ones wearing the uniforms. We are there to support our athletes and our coaches and help with communication when needed. And that's something, honestly, that I don't know can be necessarily taught to a whole degree. Like you have to give a shit in that aspect and then you can build upon that. But like, I think it's hard to take somebody that's not used to acting out of service for others and place them in a coaching role and expecting them to gel and sync with a team and athletes and an organization as a whole.
Yeah, Ryan, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think it comes from the personality yourself, and then to also just like add on to it, like who your mentors are, right? Like if your mentors are the kind of people, there's a pretty famous picture. I think it was maybe it was the 2014 or whatever Rose Bowl or something like that, and it's like all the confetti's like falling down, all that kind of stuff. You just see like Rat in the background, like just smiling, but like probably like 30 yards away from where like all the action is and the athletes are celebrating and everybody's on the stage and all that kind of stuff. And that was like one of those things that from not only him but other mentors that I've had is like you mentioned, we're support staff. And like we give parts of ourselves to see other people shine. And it's not for us to be like on the front of the TV camera and to be the number one name that everybody's talking about. Like if that comes, cool, like that comes, but that's not like what you're striving for. You're striving to pour your cup into other people to help them achieve their hopes and dreams. And like if you can do that, and even if you only impact one person, right? Like I think that's a life worth living, right? And like you can walk away saying like, "Hey, I made a big impact on that person, and it was really cool doing it. Had a lot of fun in the process."
Yeah, dude, that's sick. Speaking of life worth living, how's life outside of coaching going, man? I know last time I had talked to you guys, you'd gotten married and out in Utah, and
Yeah, been crazy. Gotta move to Utah thinking I was only going to do a small stint there, and ended up finding the love of my life, getting married, buying a house, the whole nine. So it's been super good. Like I'm so blessed to have an amazing partner. She rocks with me. Like, we've had a couple NBA opportunities like over the last couple of years, and they just weren't good fits. At the time, like amazing organizations, great people. It just wasn't the right time for us.
mm-hmm.
And luckily with this opportunity, my wife Lonnie, she was just in a position where she was like, "Hey, I'm ready to try something different." Like, we're not blessed with kids yet, so we're kind of a little bit more flexible in where we want to go. She works in higher education, so she's like, "I can work at a university or college anywhere." So like when this opportunity came up, it was just kind of like an easy win. Like there's tons of schools here, there's colleges here, so in Chicago at least. So kind of made that process easier compared to maybe other opportunities where there weren't as many opportunities for her, and it might have been one for me. So as a husband trying to figure out what that balance looks like,
Mm-hmm.
and making sure whatever move we make, we're both winning, and it's not just like one of us or one of us for a long period of time and the other person kind of has to sit at home. So that's been good. I've grown up a lot, I think. Maybe not the most grown person yet, but marriage will definitely make you think about somebody else, which has been really fun to be
And then you
now.
get kids, and you got to deal with all that, man. So
Oh, I can't even
chaotic.
imagine, man.
Yeah,
We got
Lonnie's
some nieces
Lonnie's
and
got a
nephews.
huge family, doesn't she?
Huge. I was about to say it.
Yeah.
We got like probably like 15, 16 nieces and nephews. So we get dry runs every other weekend, at least when we were living in Salt Lake. So I was like, damn, Coco Melon and Hop on Pop and all that. So,
You
you
guys
know,
got
I,
any family in Chicago?
no family in Chicago. I guess that's a lie. We have some extended family that's kind of like up north of Illinois, through marriage and stuff like that. And they're amazing people. But yeah, we're kind of solo dolo out here, which is
Yeah.
interesting, right? Like trying to make friends as an adult, in between, trips and all that kind of stuff. But it's been fun. It's a cool
Yeah.
experience so
Yeah, I
far.
was gonna say that's got to be one of the weirder things. I know, like I kind of did that in Utah too with Brittany. Was just like
Hmm.
moving somewhere with a significant other, not really knowing anybody. Luckily, I had some connections with the ski team, but like she didn't know anybody, and like building those relationships and like what to do. Ryan, you guys just did that, a couple years ago in
Congrats.
Phoenix.
Cool.
So he went down there. Yeah, he just got married 2 weeks
Oh,
ago.
congrats, man.
I just
Yeah, thank
recovered
you.
from that. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, it's been like a month off. It's finally time to
Yeah,
get back to actual work.
there you go.
So yeah, we've all kind of done that. I think having that work-life balance is something that nobody talks about as younger strength coaches, and maybe it's because when you're a younger strength coach, like it's not really going to happen if you
Hmm.
actually want to try to succeed in it. But thinking about that when you're a young strength coach, that's not something that was really like taught to me. I had all these ideas of what I wanted to be as a strength coach, whether that be working in pro baseball or working in like higher level of college or whatever. And I think after, handful of years of the ski team and traveling that much, and you traveled more than me at the end, like at some point you're kind of just like, no, I just want to go like try to
Hmm.
find a position that I can kind of settle down in more and even build some roots, whether that be like actually in that city or just with your significant other. So I think that's
Yeah.
something that's not talked about enough. Ryan, you just got back. Obviously, you just got married, but you just got back in Phoenix. You're there for what? Till spring training's over.
Yeah, I mean, we start our off season next Monday. So,
Oof.
but yeah, I mean, coming
Short
off
break.
6 months on the road and living on the East Coast while Megan held down the fort here in Arizona, like that's something I just talked to another coach about today. Like, if you are able to live with your significant other or your partner, like consider yourself very lucky early on in your career, because it is a blessing. Just with how sports and the landscape of sports work, right? Like where your job in G League basketball or minor league baseball might take you might not be a thriving city. You know, I was in Hartford, Connecticut this last year with the AA for the Rockies. Like,
Go Yard Goats.
go Yard Goats. But you know, that's a difficult place to get from Phoenix. So that's a whole dynamic of the job of strength and conditioning, especially at the professional level, that isn't really talked about until you're in it. And someone once told me, like, it is a single man and a young man sport when you're at those affiliate levels. And like, that does ring true once you find somebody that you want to be with and call your wife or your husband or your partner. And I know that's something that I'm kind of going through right now, is like, how are we going to make it work with the landscape changing? And now I'm not just making decisions for myself, but it's for us. And what does that look like? So when you said that she was able to get a job in Chicago and you guys could both live together, like that's truly a blessing that you guys are able to have that experience in the same city together, because I know there's a lot of people out there that don't get that opportunity, and they might be listening. And if they're in pro sports, like there are those opportunities, you just need a little bit of luck and hard work to be able to get to that spot.
100%. Like I said, every day I wake up, and even if last night was kind of a show. We got back late from we were in Memphis. We got the dub. Got back late, didn't get to the crib till 3. Back in the training facility. We had 10 a.m. lift or 9:45 performance meeting. So it's like, shit, boy, I ain't getting no sleep. But I'm blessed because I got to sleep next to my wife. We didn't get to talk obviously because she passed out at 3 in the morning. But it's like, all right, cool. At least I was home. And we talk about that too compared to the ski team. As much as that was so much fun, at one point I had like 6 weeks in New Zealand, and I had 4 weeks in Austria, and then 3 weeks in Switzerland. It's like, you're gone for these super long chunks. And you're like, man, she got a whole different routine. I come home, the house is like rearranged. I don't even know how to sit down on the sofa because the shit's backward. You know what I mean? So it's like now coming home more nights than I'm gone is like nice, even if we don't really get to talk. It's just that, that feeling of coming home to your person. You know what I mean? And I think that's a really big blessing, and it's going to be a really cool situation for us to navigate together, because I'm sure after a certain point that gets old when you feel them here but you don't get to talk, and how we navigate that will be TBD. I'll have to let y'all know at the end of this season, but it should be fun.
Yeah, man. So tell us about what I know you just got started, but kind of what is that typical schedule for you? Is what you just described pretty much a day-to-day basis, or how's that work?
Yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. So like, let me see if I can remember this week. So, well, I guess I can look for it. So last night, right, 2 nights ago, what day is today? Tuesday. So Sunday night, we took a flight, got to Memphis around the evening time, played. So then we had like the evening kind of off. Like I had meetings with my performance staff, make sure we're all dialed for the game, right? Then Monday was game day. So a typical game day, we're waking up. I got some guys who like to work out way before the game, so we have lifts at 9 a.m. from like 9 to 9:45 or 8 to 8:45, depending on the city that we're in. Then we have shoot around. Shoot around is normally an hour 15. So at that point, it's like 11:15, 11:30. We're getting back to the hotel. We have this famous NBA brunch, is what it's called. I'm just learning about it. But it's like a full on like brunch thing. They got like a buffet, they got like a cooking pasta station, they got like an omelet station, so it's all good. Guys eat, get some treatment if they need it. Then there's the famous NBA nap. Everybody takes a nap. First bus rolls out at 3:45 for the staff. We get to the stadium. During the shoot around, I've already set up the weight room. We got the nutrition area, all that stuff kind of going. Guys start rotating in, hitting the court, activating with us, working out with us, whatever it is for that day, around 4. And then we just kind of roll from 4 to tip off. There's some meetings spread in between, and at 7 the game starts. Play. Like last night, we left the stadium right after game. We got the dub, right? So then got on a bus, got to the plane at 11 something hour, whatever odd flight. Got home, packed all the truck up with all the equipment for the next game. We got a home game tomorrow. Fly out Friday for New York. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So it's going to be super interesting when we have those kind of like road game backs to backs. So like there's one where we play Washington, the Washington Wizards, and instead of flying back to Chicago, we play Orlando the next night. So we'll play Washington, hopefully win, right? Jump on a plane, fly down to Orlando, do our thing down in Orlando, and then fly back. So it's like lots of late nights to early mornings, but we try to prioritize the guys, get them sleep. We got like tons of Normatechs on the plane. We've been implementing some really cool like recovery strategies just to kind of pump that recovery as much as we can with BFR and Delphi's and that kind of stuff. So yeah, lots of on the fly work and being agile. So it's been fun.
Being agile.
Yeah, there's a lot to
that
unpack there.
BFR.
Yeah.
I've seen some of that BFR stuff for like recovery. You guys just do that more for blood flow, basically, with like reduced intensity, or?
Oh no, max intensity for our recovery stuff. So like we'll pump it up 100% occlusion, and it'll just sit and chill, you know, like those, you know, legs up or whatever, chill for like 20-30 minutes on the flight. We have some research that shows that it can improve, like kind of like Normatech to the max, right, type situation. So we do that. Tons of icing, contrast bathing. Some stadiums have it, some stadiums don't for the visitors. Like we have it here for our when we're at home, so we get that going a lot. Active recovery on bikes, shakeouts, you know, from track and field and all that kind of stuff. So it's been cool to see, you know, with our roster, how each guy responds to each thing. And that's kind of the cool part about having like a whole staff to do stuff. Is like the ski team was amazing, but then you're kind of like the only performance person who's maybe like a sports medicine practitioner. So it's like you two trying to figure out how to get everybody into this river, because like we're in the Swiss Alps and like we ain't got a cold tub. So like there's this cold ass river over there. Let's go sit in that for a second. And then like, you know, walk in and feed the goats on the way home, right? So there's just a lot more access here, but then, you know, guys can be a little bit pickier because they're used to this, that, and the third. So just trying to match, and we're creating kind of like templates for them to like pick 2, pick 3, you know, what you need type situation, and get to bed. So
nice,
yeah, is that what you think? Like, I know you said some guys like training in the morning, some guys do it kind of before tip, and then I guess if you're at home, do you ever have guys lift after?
Yeah, tons. A lot of guys like that.
How does that work? Like, who decides what? Do players have input into, you know, whether they want to be those early morning guys or more mid-afternoon versus after the game, or how is that decided with you and your staff? And then I'm sure the players have a say in what they do as well.
Oh, for sure. So I always have considered myself more of a GPS more than anything else. Like the athlete is a driver, the player is a driver. So I kind of just lay out and say, hey, player, whatever, hey, I need 3 lifts this week. We got 4 games. The math is the math. You know what I'm saying? So you can get it whenever you want. You let me know. We'll be on standby. But like that's what I need. Of course, they're not going to be 3 like max squat efforts 10 by 10. They're going to be appropriate for however many minutes they play. You know what their playing style is, all those kind of individualities. But I need 3. So you call it, but we gotta get it, and it's my job to help you and help you stay accountable on that. So if you want to go get one in the morning, cool. Most times I try to emphasize to guys like keep our hard days hard and our easy days easy, right? So you're ready, hot, sweaty from the game. You might as well come in and hit your lift, right? And then you get in the ice, you know, get in the Normatech, whatever it is, and then we're on the plane ready to go, right? So that's how I prefer to do it. But you know, each guy has their own routine, and some of them do like one workout spread out over the whole day. Like they'll do like their heavy lift in the morning, then they'll do their priming after shoot around, and then they'll do like recovery, like active flow, like after the game or something like that. So they'll kind of just flow it like that, depending on how they feel. So kind of just guiding them and educating them as much as we can along the way, but also going with, you know, what works for them. A lot of them have been in the league for, you know, 5, 6, 7+ years. So they kind of know what their routines are. And it's just kind of dropping little things that we think could help compared to like kicking the door down and being like, you're going to do it this way.
100%. That's one of the interesting things about working with professional athletes, especially in season, right? Is like there is a lot of time if they know how to schedule and they can take care of their schedule. Like there's a lot of time that they could conceivably do what they need to do and can even break it up. And, you know, I think about baseball versus basketball when we're having this conversation where baseball, you know, even at the minor league level, it's 6 games in a row, but at the major league level, you're playing, you know, 3, 4 in a row, and then you're traveling or you might be home for 2 weeks on end. The NBA, it's like you're traveling way more is what it sounds like. So like what's an average like home stay for you guys? How many days? Is it 2, 3 games and then you're gone? Is it 1 and then you're gone? How does that work?
Yeah, if we're lucky, we'll get like 2 home games in a row, and then we're gone. Like there's a week coming up. I think it's in January, maybe it's in February. I can't remember. But like we're on the road for like 8 days on the West Coast tour, right? Just hitting like Denver, Utah, then all the Calis, right? So it's just like boom, 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 boom. And like November, like our performance staff, we were doing the metrics and getting prepared for stuff. Like we got a quarter of all of our back to backs, home and away, like combos, right? A quarter of the whole season's back to backs, all in the month of November. So it's like, well, we jumping right into the fire. You know what I'm saying? Like we come out of training camp, we're a little bit like kind of stretching, we're kind of in deep water. Now we're trying to help guys get out of that, and all of a sudden you're getting smacked in the face with like playing a game here at home and having the that night get on a flight and fly over to like New York to play the Knicks, right? So it's like very little time, and then you play the Knicks the next day, right? So it's like less than 24 hours. You've got honestly 2 games. So really, really interesting, and working with coaching staff on how we help kind of guide or give them suggestions on minutes and hey, you know, this guy's a high priority guy. He played over 30 minutes. This was his, you know, metabolic load or like mechanical load and all that kind of stuff. It might be worth kind of shaving down those minutes, but obviously the game's going to dictate who's in and who's not because we're trying to win, right? So minutes get thrown out the window when it's a tie game and the plan was only 16, but he's hooping and you're like, shit, like he's on fire. Let it ride. We're gonna figure it out on the back end how to help him recover for tomorrow. So
That's the
yeah,
ultimate
lots
goal,
of that.
right? Like our job is to respond and adapt to a player. You're not going to take out a player that's playing well. Like that's not the goal at that point. That's where, you know, we as coaches can adjust and kind of change what we need to change on our end so that they can, you know, perform at the highest level. Because nobody said playing sports is good for your body. And I'm sure you see it on a nightly basis when guys are getting on a plane or they're done with a game and they're just beat to shit. And it's like, well, we just started. Like, I know we had mini camp and training camp, and it's like, that's one of the hardest times of the year for baseball that I feel is, you know, you come out of these very intense periods after an off season into, you know, a training camp, and you do it for like ours is around 30 days or so. So you do it for 30 days every day with maybe 1 or 2 off days. And then you just go right into the season. And if guys didn't do what they need to do in the off season, or even if they did, like they could feel it a little bit. So there's almost like this undulation of like, hey, you're going to expect a little bit of a dip before we kind of climb back up. And in your case, talking about November, having a quarter of your back-to-backs, like I'm sure there's going to be some guys feeling it, and you're going to be busy working during that point.
100%. It's going to be fun.
I know we talked a lot about in-season stuff, but also like I don't know. I know you just got rolling with this position like 3 months ago. What do you guys, or what do you want to have planned, I guess, for the off season, and how that even works with the NBA guys? I think you said you had a good amount stay in Chicago, but that was one of the bigger issues we always saw with baseball was everybody like season's over, everybody kind of scatters, and it's like, how do we get everybody on the same page and make sure we're ready for, you know, that preseason to start back up?
No, for sure. I mean, this is a fun opportunity, and honestly, one of the biggest reasons why I took this role was that it's a younger team looking to build and prove something, right? So to be able to kind of get in with guys that are hungry, that want to do the right things, they just need a little bit of shaping and help. That was like one of the biggest check marks for me. I was like, all right, we can help build a program and help like solidify these guys and their routines. And regardless if they're still with us in 5 years or not, like we can be proud that we helped lay somewhat of a foundation for them as they move forward. And, it's big on culture, right? So right now, our culture is great, right? It's earlier, it's the honeymoon period. Everyone wants to do everything. You know, as the season comes and goes, wins and losses, that's going to be up and down. But creating a culture that's not too high, not too low, and they can always know like that this is a space that's theirs. Like we implemented a rule right when our new staff came in, and technical coaches are not allowed in the weight room or training room when we're working with guys. Like we don't want coaches in their ear talking about jump shots or like efficiency. And that like this is their space to vent, talk shit, be with each other, and like create that culture and to also work with the performance staff so that we can get to know them and understand them a lot more. So I think that has been a really big step in the right direction of guys feeling like this is their space. And we already had conversations with guys who are like, man, like y'all do everything that my trainer out in LA does. Like, of course I love LA and I might still pop out there, but I might not be out there for the whole summer. Like coming back and forth, or we as a performance staff flying out to go see guys. That's something that we did a lot this year when I first came on board. So what I would love to create is that culture where guys are like, hey man, like I need some time away from y'all, but like I still want to rock with you guys, and whatever you guys think I need to work on in the off season, working with my trainer out here or wherever to kind of make sure it's an integrated program, which, Brett, you and I, we worked a lot with that at the ski team. Like we had Red Bull and we had all these other kind of outside groups that were great in what they do, but kind of trying to align it with what we knew they needed to perform at this level with the information that we had. So um, really excited, like I said, just to make it a place that guys are excited to be. And I know that sounds corny, but like there's no metric on enjoying the place where you work, right? And
No.
if we can do that, then I think we already, strides ahead of where I think we would be in year 2.
Dude, yeah, and talking about like, or going back to kind of what we had originally talked about of like why why you think you got to all these different places within your career, and I think part of that is you're great at building that culture. Like I saw that with the ski team, and I think that was something that me, you, and a lot of the other staff did a good job of. Like we wanted it to be a place where people came and wanted to get better. I saw Ryan laughing a little bit when he says that the skill people weren't allowed there. I'm assuming that's not the case at Rocky Spring
not
Training.
Necessarily. It's just like sometimes there is no line, and that boundary does need to be set because, like Matt was saying, like it is their space. It's their time to do things. Number one with us, but also like to vent or to talk about something that's been on their chest. Like I know in my position, other than talking about workload on the field versus off the field, like I don't make the lineup for who is batting and who is playing. So they can come to me and talk to me about that, knowing that I don't have any real impact on the playing time or making the decisions of who is playing versus who isn't. Correct. And being able to build that trust and that communication can open up a ton of different doors for how you go about your business when it comes to our jobs. I think just from a foundational level, it builds a thick layer of trust that we can have with the guys that we are working with, knowing that, our job is there, again, going back to support them. And support can mean, making sure that they're physically prepared for what they're doing by talking to them in the off season or during the season, making sure that they're staying on top of their work because they need to be held accountable. There's just a number of things that can be built from having that space where athletes feel, the safe space, having a place like that where they feel like they can come and it's going to be comfortable for them. They got a lot of fucking distractions.
A lot. And you got a lot of people,
agents, friends, family, media, outside sources. Everybody wants a piece of these guys. So sometimes it's just, how can you quiet that noise for them?
Shit, Matt, exactly. You're at a whole new level now with the NBA as far as the amount of money.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like in the actual team and the guys individually, like talk about distractions. That's got to be something that's just, difficult for anybody and that's, going into any league that's making that. I do remember some of the guys that had left the ski team that went and worked at different NBA teams and talking to them about just, obviously like the massive difference on budgets coming in and being able to do some cool stuff. That's got to be fun for you to kind of go in and like actually be able to do a lot more of probably the monitoring you wanted to do and testing and stuff like that and be able to purchase some of that stuff. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah, no, it's been a blessing. Like I said, like we came in and, our big goal, overarching goal is availability, right? Like I know that's probably super basic for a lot of people listening, but you can't get better, especially as a young team, if you're hurt, right? Like your technical ability is not going to progress at the rate that you want it to if you're not available. So we've been super aggressive on attacking a lot of things that guys have been dealing with, and it's been really rewarding. We've got guys that have been around for 7, 8, 9 years that had bilateral tendinopathies, and like they're coming up and saying like, hey, I don't know what we're doing, but this is the best my knees have ever felt. Right. And it's like that to me is like what I would love to hang my hat on, because, Ryan, like you said, like I don't choose who starts. I don't choose who's going to be, the starting point guard and all that kind of stuff. Like I can just make it really, really hard in a great way for our coaches to have a full bench available. And I'm like, hey, you got to figure out who's hooping the best. And like, but now it's not like, oh man, I only can play these guys because this guy has to sit out. It's like, hey, we're going to do our best to keep everybody available, and then let the, player development side of the house develop those skills. And then coaches get to put them in the technical aspects. So it's been really fun. We have a great team. I came over with 2 other guys from the ski team, so we had already been working together. So it's been really cool to kind of all just be a part of that. We jumped right in and hit the ground running, and we all knew each other in our system that we wanted to kind of create here. So it's been fun to kind of make like ski team Midwest, I guess. I guess the Bucks did it first, but ski team,
Yeah, the NBA has been
2.0.
stealing from the ski team since I was an intern, man.
You had 2 other guys came over with you from the ski team at the exact same time?
Yeah. So my director has been in the NBA for like 20 plus years. He's an OG, but he was working with us at ski team for the last year. And he was kind of like, hey, if I ever left, like, would you guys roll? And I was like, well, we're getting ready for Italy. We got the #1 team in the world with ski pipe, and a lot of other athletes are on their way up. It's just been so much fun. So it would have to be like a really, really fun environment for us to even think about it. And, he's like, oh, okay. And then like a few months later, he's like, hey, like, this is the deal. The other guy that came over, no, that's his name, Eric Waters.
Oh, I don't think I met him then.
Yeah, so Eric Waters was the head athletic trainer for the Utah Jazz for a bunch of years, and in Washington, and also had been with the Bulls. So
Gotcha.
it kind of was like a homecoming for him. So tapped me to come over, and we also tapped. He was our traveling physical therapist for the ski pipe team, and he's also a strength coach and super bright dude and great with tendons and great with all the things that I'm not, which is a lot. So it was just like a really cool fit, and we all had spent a lot of time together over the last couple of years. So it just kind of like worked,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a huge win. And, coming in the staff that was here already, like they're super awesome. And we're just, having opportunities to talk, right. And make sure everybody was feeling heard. And even if we didn't go with a specific thought or, recommendation, like everyone got a chance to say it. And that was the big part. So we just been trying to continue that culture that we had at the ski team where, everyone gets a seat at the table. Like, just how do we progress? And regardless of our discussions or disagreements, at times, like, we walk out of that office with the same message for the guys, because it's not about one of us, it's about all of us. Right. So that's been really fun to be a part of.
Yeah, it did. I think like the NBA and the ski team kind of both started that high performance model kind of at the same time. So Ryan, I know you don't necessarily know that either, but like, I think we had like 3 people go to Milwaukee. You guys now at the Bulls. Alex started, or he was one of the first guys that started it with Cleveland when LeBron went back there. Freaking the Magic had like 3 guys down there.
Yeah, we've had like 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10
crazy.
people. Like, it's been a really cool like recruiting like place. And I was talking with Troy Flanagan the other night. He's still with Milwaukee, and he's just like, you know, with all due respect, I just think like the amount of injuries and the complexity of the injuries that y'all see at the ski team, specifically to the lower extremities, like really prepares you to deal with a lot of the things that you'll see, you know, in other professional leagues, right? And like, and having to really, you know, as the youth would say, get in your bag to figure out how to help these
I don't know what
cats
that
get
means,
better.
guys.
Yeah, you know, and see, I've been hanging out with the youth. You know, we got a young team,
I'm doing
but I
practice
kind of
because I
be,
got old ladies.
you know, like just be creative and like find different ways to help solve pain or solve a problem, and you know, using different ways than just traditional like throw a barbell at it, right? Like, so it's been really cool to hear that from someone that, you know, a lot of people respect and we were able to kind of spend time with. And he's obviously been very, very successful too, so that never hurts when you get a compliment from someone like that, which is
Yeah.
great.
Troy was like one of the first guys I remember coming up, and I'm sure you were the same way with the ski team as an intern and stuff. And you're like, this dude has done so much. Like he was talking about working for the Sultan of Dubai and like all this crap, and like to get people, and like they just threw money at them to get people in the Olympics. Basically, like, hey, how much money do you need to build a performance staff here? And like all the crazy stories, man. Yeah, he's been fun to follow for sure, and kind of paved the way, I think, for the all the NBA jobs from the ski team, honestly.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, his coaching tree or development tree, regardless if he has like taught us a lot like of like the physiology or whatever it is, but just like his influence on all of our careers, I think is huge. And his influence on, I will even go as far as saying like American performance systems is huge as well, right? Like what the Bucks have done. I think a lot of teams have taken pieces of that to add to their program, even outside of basketball. You know, so I think it's really cool just to see how far he has come from.
Yeah, Ryan, I know
this
you're a big
weekend.
nerd, so I'll give you a little bit of background on Troy. He was from Australia, did their performance stuff there for their Olympic teams, and then he was working with biking and he was working with biking and swimming, and he decided to go get his doctorate in aerospace engineering, just to
Just casual,
just casually because he's like, well, I gotta figure out how these people can fly through the air and water better. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. So that's the kind of person he is.
Yeah.
You're still on mute or something, buddy. So, but anyways, Matt, thanks for hopping on, man. It's been good catching up. I got to make my way up to Chicago now that we're a little closer here in the Lou, and we'll go from there. But got any ending remarks for anybody or?
Nah, man, I appreciate y'all. Like, definitely, if you're out, Ryan's trying to figure out his setup, man.
Is it better? I don't even know.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Okay, there we go. How long was I on mute? I was like trying to figure it out.
I just saw you try it once.
All right, just that one time.
Okay. You're good. Yeah. You're chilling. No, man, it's been awesome to chat and get to know y'all. Ryan, so nice to meet y'all. If y'all are ever out this way, you know, definitely hit me up. We'll get you some tickets. You know, you got to cheer for the Bulls though, because we need all the fans we can get. So
we don't got a team down here, so I can root for the Bulls.
There you go, free agent.
Who the hell else am I to root for? And so you can go for the NBA. So
there you go, man.
Now that you know the season started, Brett, you can like maybe
I'll pay attention now.
Yeah. See, like, so now, like, you know,
go buy a jersey.
There's some stuff going on. There's some really cool, like stories about, you know, I don't know if y'all saw it, but their strength staff kind of, you know, people getting, you know, a little upset about organizations and pushing back. So some dramas in the background. I don't know the whole tea, so I can't share it with y'all. But like, it's just cool. It's just cool to hear, like, you know, how different organizations are attacking or trying to problem solve like common problems that we're all facing. And obviously we're all competing against each other, right? So we're not just like open book sharing. So it's going to be really fun to kind of see how all the storylines with players and the teams and age specifically this year. I think it's going to play a big factor in who ends up, you know, standing victorious at the end. But yeah,
that's awesome, man. Well, thanks again, buddy.